Hello everyone and welcome back to Pittsburgh Vader. I'm not really sure what the plan is for this video, so I'm just going to keep working on things and I'll show you what I get done. If we come over here, I put the handle back on just to show you guys. No problems, it works exactly how it should. So I'm just going to keep working on getting the other one done, and that way I'll have both the handles. I'm going to be modifying the door regulator and putting all that in to get the window in. And I'll show you if I get that done or not. It takes some modifying, so I'm going to have to make sure I get that right and don't mess it up. Because if you mess those up, you have to buy a new regulator, so I'm going to make sure I don't have to do that. And I'm just going to keep working on things around the car. Alright everyone, so we're going to start modifying the pieces for the doors. So if you come down to the bottom, just marked up on the top here of each of these round pieces, just marked a straight line across, and we're going to cut that off. And then on the piece for the door mirrors, you have to modify these two, cut all the way across here, and then measure 5 inches up from the bottom and cut that off. And then you're going to weld on a new nut to the side. That way you can bolt it to the inside of the door and use that as the interior track. There's a rubber piece that goes in here and then around the top that I'll have to cut and put back on. So I'll show you that in a second, but we're going to cut this real quick and then we can get this stuff situated in the door. Alright, there we go. The bottom of this is cut off. We ground it down just to get rid of some of the sharp edges, and then did the same thing here, cut that and cut the bottom off. So now we're gonna put the rubber trim back in and then work on getting the rest of the door track and everything modified. Alright, so we modified the first of the tracks, and there's actually not a ton you have to do. So we just experimented with this one and made sure everything would work before showing you how we did it, because didn't want to like give false information and stuff. So I'll show in a little bit more detail how we do the driver's side door. But for this one, what we did a little bit different than how most people do it. Normally down here, you take the track and you cut it and then twist it and then weld it on. Instead of that, we actually repurposed one of the pieces from the mirror track that we cut. Here, I'll get it out real quick. The bottom of this actually had 2 welded on studs that had threaded holes in them. So what we did is we cut around that, and it's just a strip of metal with 2 holes this far apart, and you clamp down the wires so it doesn't snap back and unspool and everything. But after that, we just lined them up, drilled holes, and bolted them down, and it's sturdy. It's not going anywhere. I might re-clamp it and undo them just to add some adhesive back there, so we're sure some of that panel bonding adhesive back there, just to be 100% sure it's not going anywhere. But for now, it seems okay. What we did, just cut across here at an angle, and then this originally was turned on an angle. It came straight down, and that was going to be too far down for the door, so cut it along and across and then just twisted it and take this off and then just put it back on, and now we're good to go. So we're going to try getting this in the door. I still have to get the nut on the outside of this so we can put it inside the door over there. This is the guide for the front of the door, so I need that in first, and then once that's in, we'll be able to put this in, get it installed. It still has the holes, so we're going to use the riv nuts. I did get a riv nut gun, don't have it with me right now, but yeah, I got a riv nut gun, so we'll be putting riv nuts in each of these locations, and then we can just bolt this on just like the factory panel was. And then once that's on, we can put the windows in, and it hopefully will work. So I'll let you guys know. Alright, so everything's just very, very roughly laid in here. I'm going to have to move things around and get everything to fit better. But this is the basic idea of what you do. I still need to mark all the holes for the riv nuts and install those before I put this all in. But up here, as you can see, this will be down a little bit more so it's closer to that hole there. And then that will be bolted in from here into that, holding this in place. And then also down here below the door hinge, there will also be on the end of that where that nut is, that will be screwed in through the side into that, holding that in place. And then we do need to modify the stand for the rest of the window mirror. So I'll be doing that in probably another video, and I'll show you what I do for that again, and I'll get that ready and install it on the car. And then after I mark out all the spots on, there's no holes on the bottom anymore. I'm not sure if I'm gonna have to drill more or what, but I'm gonna start line this up better. I'm just holding it in here now to show you guys because I still have to cut out this area here. I have to cut out a square to put this for the interior handle in. I have to cut that out. So I'm gonna cut that out, get this installed, and then I can mark all the holes for the plate to go on. And then after that is done, I'll be able to install the window, get everything lined up, and see if it's working or not. Hopefully there should be no problems, but you never know. And I really did want to get the regulator and the window installed on the door in this video, but unfortunately, this window switch for the passenger side door is practically dead. It doesn't work at all. The regulator itself does work. I plugged in the driver's side door to move the regulator up and down so I could get to the parts I needed to modify it, but that's really inconvenient to move that back and forth every time I want to mess with the window. So I ordered a new one online, and that should be here within the week. And I want to make sure that this works with the window before I install it in the door. That way I'm not stuck with a window that's all the way up or down in case I need to move it and work on it and stuff like that. So I'm waiting till the new switch gets here. And since I haven't posted a video in a little while, I wanted to get one out there since I am waiting on this piece. It might work, it might not work. So I'm hoping that this is the problem. I assume it will be, but I'm just not going to wait until this gets here to post a video. So once this gets here, I'll get everything installed and then show you how that works and everything. I also did a little bit more finishing on the sill plate here. Put a thin coat of primer on it just to give it some shape to show you guys. I'll be sanding that back down and doing some finishing touches on it, make that perfectly smooth. And then I still need to install the door latch. Alright, so I have one of the striker plates here for the door, and if I put it in the door and try to see where it will line up, I don't know how well you'll be able to see this. I'll get a better angle. Alright, so when you close the door, there is actually it's not long enough. Try a better angle there. Alright, so in there, it's not actually long enough. It's hitting where it needs to be installed, which means there's about a ½ an inch of space that I need to make up for. So I've looked through a couple different options. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to be doing this yet. If you take the cover off of the striker plate, these bolts go through these holes, and then these bolts into the plate that we welded on back there before. So there are a couple things I could do. I saw online one guy took the striker plate and made an aluminum spacer behind it and just got longer bolts, and then he actually ended up switching to longer striker itself. He modified the loop itself. So I'm leaning towards modifying the loop itself, but just for lining everything up, I might make a temporary spacer just to get everything lined up and make sure everything fits. But yeah, I have to modify this before I can add the latch to the door. But once that's in there, I'll be able to line everything up, adjust the hinge the way it needs to be to get this all lined up perfectly, and then start filling in and making these body lines perfect. I'm waiting to get the window in there, but I wanted to show you I'm going to do the striker and everything. I'm just going to keep moving along, doing some stuff around the car. I also had a couple comments about weather stripping before I put the latches and mess with the door gaps and everything, asking how I was going to do the weather stripping. So for the doors, you can actually use, this is just the weather stripping from the original G35 door. There's already a place indented for it, and I can just cut out, drill out the hole and use this clip to hold it in, and then there's clips all along it. Clip that in. I'm probably going to use some adhesive too, just to make sure it's not going anywhere. But for now, I'm going to use the clips and clip that all in, and then mess with the gaps, and then take it back off. And then after paint, I'll probably glue that back down. So I just wanted to show you guys how I'm going to do the weather stripping and what I'm going to use for the doors. And for the trunk, I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to make a custom one. Not really that hard. Just going to order some universal weather stripping stuff and install that on the underside of the trunk. It's a little hard to show all the progress on the car because not everything is super easy to show. I've just been doing some bodywork around the car, filling in some little nicks and scrapes, continuing to smooth out the sides and everything. I added the first coat of filler on this side. I have to stand that down and then do the same thing I did on the other side. If you come around on the other side, same thing. I have to keep sanding these down, but I think I'm on my final coat of filler on at least the front here. Might need another light one on the back just to even things out. Yeah, I've just been doing bodywork along the car, getting some things tidied up, stuff like that. Once I get this door done, I'll be moving over to the other one. I'm going to make a separate video on that one showing a little bit more how to do it and how I did it. Not necessarily the right way, but just the way I'm making it work. So I'm figuring out on this door, and then after that, I'll try to show in more detail how I did it. That's it for this video, though. So thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next one.